All right, I think we're live now, and our guest for today, and I'm really looking forward to this because I've been reading her book and it's absolutely fantastic. It's something that all of us should really, get into in terms of ways to improve our poise at work. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Sheetal Kakkar Mehra, she's India's leading executive presence coach, and there she is. So let me. Hi, Sheetal.
Hi, hi.
Great to have you with us. I was just talking to our viewers about you and telling them how you're India's leading executive presence coach for CEOs, 20 years of experience. She's personally trained thousands of professionals, not just in India, but also across Asia, and has a huge reputation as a cutting edge personal branding expert. And her latest book, Poise, her latest book, which is about executive presence and talks about the poise formula, is what we're going to talk about today. This is something that I feel all of us should know about. And she's a best-selling author. Her first book was also on business etiquette. And she thought, so what prompted you first up to actually write the second one? And I see some great quotes in here from business leaders across industries.
Thank you, Abba. Wonderful to be here. And yes, what really prompted me? The first book was written in 2012, so that was a long time ago. But many times the readers would write in queries, and it was never covered in that book. So there was a lot of scope, and there were a lot of questions on leadership and how people should behave, conduct, interact with people. So I collected all the questions, and suddenly I realized that I had about 200 questions. That's when I started
Wow.
researching. Yeah, it was a lot of questions. That's when I started researching on what is executive presence. And interestingly, Abba, all the books on this topic have been written by foreign authors, US, UK based
Right.
authors, but who have never visited Indian workplaces and don't understand our cultural connotation, finer nuances of doing business in India. So I
Exactly.
started researching. It took me 3 years. I spoke to about 120 business leaders, 60 of whom have given wonderful quotes. And finally, it took me 3 years, and the book is ready. And yes, I hope that it has addressed all the questions of the readers from the earlier book and all my workshops.
That's amazing. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank
And
you.
I can personally vouch for this because I've been reading it. And you're right. I mean, it's been a while since your first one. And a lot of things have evolved as well in terms of perhaps how much importance and significance is being given to something like executive presence today and how it really helps you climb in your career. I want to jump right in. I mean, what I love about the book is it gives you tangible tips on how to really, how to really carve out your personal etiquette, your personal style. First, I want to address what poise is all about. You've talked about physical, online, influencer, stage, and engagement presence. You know, is there is there a weightage as to how important each of these are, or do you really need to work on all aspects as you've
Um,
mentioned here?
Honestly, I think it's a diagnostic tool, okay? Because it helps you understand your strengths and areas of improvement. So, if I was to take the entire POISE formula and sum it up, I would say it'll help you demonstrate your ability to get a job done. And these are the aspects of leadership, of things that people are looking for in a leader. And the POISE formula somehow fell into place, where the P stands for your physical presence. And I think that's very important. There are two aspects to physical presence, but both are very strong non-verbal communication tools. One, of course, is your attire, and the second is your body language. Now, attire is important. If you really think about it, Ava, when people are constantly thin slicing, it's human nature to look at somebody and start passing judgments, whether you're vocal about it or not, but you're constantly passing judgments. We
Sure,
do it all the time.
sure.
And when somebody walks in through the door, your visual is a very integral component of your impact, at least first impression. And first impressions do make a difference. They do, it definitely gets your foot in through the door. So clothes create impact, and lots of research has gone into showing how clothes even work at a biochemistry level. That means when you know you're looking your best, somehow you are very confident. All of us have experienced that moment when somebody compliments us and says, "Hey, that's looking superb on you." Somehow that whole day you walk on a cushion of air. So yes, in first
Yeah.
impressions, your attire matters. And also it sends a strong, powerful message that I'm serious, and I mean business. But one has to dress appropriately for your industry, for what others expect you to wear. So it's not about a suit or a tie or a scarf or a piece of jewelry. But I would say it is about sending out a strong professional presence, a message that says, I'm serious and I mean business. Second, of course, is
Nice.
body language,
Go
which
ahead. Go
is,
ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So second is body language, which is very important, a strong tool. And I really studied the body language of winners, whether it is the eye contact that they maintain. You know, I spoke to several CEOs. They may have given me just a few minutes of their time in their busy schedule to answer my questions. But in that few minutes, I felt as if I was the only person on the planet at that time, because they gave me their 100% attention, strong eye contact. So that matters. Also, deeper aspects of body language, like ability to read other people. You know, many times people say, oh, leaders can read other people. Now, what are they actually reading? What they are reading is micro expressions. You know, things that fleetingly go across your face, which many of us don't capture. So I think what is
Sure.
very important is the ability to take non-verbal cues, because a lot of communication is actually non-verbal. The body
Yeah.
communicates
True.
very effectively. Something which I feel has been compromised in the current times, because we are constantly on a screen and only seeing about one fourth or one third of a person's body at any time. So
True.
gestures are compromised, fidgeting is compromised, micro expressions we can't see. But yes, body language matters. So yes, what are the tools? What are the tips, tricks? Whether it's deception or it is lying or it is somebody, so various aspects of body language have been covered.
Aspects.
The
Okay.
O,
I
yes,
want to. We'll come back to the others as well, but I wanted to kind of jump into some of the you know tips you've given for entrepreneurs in this. And I mean, I think you've addressed some of the dress code bits, but for new age entrepreneurs for whom the traditional aspects of physical presence may not necessarily apply, how should they go about it? Because they want to, of course, still show that they're serious about what they're doing, but that they're also creative, or it's they're not necessarily in a hardcore corporate executive setup, but they have to find that balance. Just because they're an entrepreneur or startup doesn't mean that everyone has to dress like Steve Jobs, right?
no. I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to evolve a personal signature style. Companies have dress codes, right? So you
Yeah,
have to fall into line based on the industry and the job that you have. So if you're a lawyer, there's a lot more formality. If you're a creative person, there's a lot more creativity in the way you dress and express that creativity through your attire. On the other hand, entrepreneurs definitely need to have a personal style. Now, the
sure.
interesting bit is that when you're a startup and you're a young person in a startup, we have this image of people wearing jeans and t-shirts, round neck t-shirts, or any of that. However, once they are pitching for funding, they're speaking to investors, they are speaking to venture capital firms. That's when they have to display certain level of seriousness, and I think clothes can definitely communicate that. So yes, being well groomed, being appropriately attired, looking like you're serious, because let's agree, after a point people make investments in people and not really so much in the product or the company. So it's a startup
Sure.
team that you're investing in. So I think it's important to understand that impeccable grooming and being appropriately attired are not negotiable, even for
Okay, awesome. I actually love the way young girls put an effort into their dress code these days. But I think that, yeah, you're right. Sometimes you do need a little bit of experimentation before you find your personal style, and
Yes.
what's clicking. What about video conferencing and TV appearances? I mean, I work in the field, so even I know that you need to be aware of certain colors or patterns, for example. But are there any specific tips that you'd give to people, both in terms of how to be more engaging as well as, how to perhaps be best prepared for online appearances?
This was a topic that 7 months ago would not have been covered in corporate India. Of course, you
Yeah.
have a very strong, very superior visual presence when I see you on television or on, any of your on a screen. But then,
Thank you.
this is a look that you have curated and it's your personal style, and of course, years of experience and your job. Now, corporate India never really needed people to have a strong visual presence because a lot of work was always getting done face to face. COVID has
True.
pushed everybody onto a screen. And I think it's important for people to get first of all, the frame right. Secondly, the
Yeah.
lighting right.
Yeah.
Thirdly, what is a big is the distance between the screen and you. Sometimes I feel people
Mm.
are so close to the screen that you can't figure out like which body part am I seeing and where is this. And sometimes they're so far away that literally you can't see their facial expressions.
That's
You don't
true.
feel a
That's true. And
connect.
it's exhausting, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Trying to comprehend, are they happy? Are they sad? Because we rely so much on this. And finally, one request to all the listeners, please activate the video when you speak to people because visual is a very strong, powerful tool. And if you have the bandwidth, do dress up and do sit in front of the camera and activate the camera because people can make a much better connect with you.
With you. Yeah,
When,
true.
yeah, when they can
Shoe
see you.
Stories is saying thank you for that. That's so true. Glad that helped. I also want to get a sense from you on what you find common attributes when it comes to presence, executive presence in leaders. Everyone's trying to inculcate or aspire to really imbibe some of those qualities. What are some of the qualities that people can actually work on? Develop those leadership traits so that even if they're still sort of climbing up the ladder, people are, they feel that they're perceived as potential leaders.
Yeah, now, firstly, I feel that from my research, that leaders that I spoke to and have observed in the last 2 decades, they are extremely crisp and concise in the way they communicate. So,
Hmm.
crispness of conversation. Some of them literally speak in bullet points, but crispness of conversation and clarity of
Interesting.
thought is something which is extremely important and is a critical leadership skill. Secondly, which has been tested a lot during
Yeah.
our crisis and definitely during the current pandemic, is executive maturity. I think leaders know what to say, what not
Right.
to say,
Right.
when to
Right.
communicate, when to keep quiet, and how
Mm.
much to say. So the
I
ability.
wish we all knew that. I wish there was a magic formula. Seriously, everything is so much better in hindsight, right? Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
So yes, I've noticed that they are extremely particular. They offer calibrated responses, and they are extremely controlled in the way they communicate. So
Sure.
that I would say is a second trait. So yes, crispness of conversation, executive maturity. Another aspect is their personal branding. They are very particular
Mm.
about the way they project themselves, whether it's on a screen, online, face to face, and their brand is extremely synchronized. So I always say that leaders are CEOs of their own personal brand, and they
Sure.
completely understand that brands need marketing, brands need promotion, brands need positioning, and brands need investments. So it's important that leaders, aspiring leaders, understand that. And yes,
Okay.
influencer.
Now, Another interesting chapter in the book, and by the way, for all of you who've just joined in, we're discussing executive presence, Sheetal's new book here, is on building online presence. And yeah, and I'm focusing a lot on this, Sheetal, because it just seems to be so much more relevant today, right? And I know a lot of people are dealing with this because we also get a lot of questions on this. I know there's a lot to talk about, but on the surface, if you can share with us some key things that one can start to keep in mind when building an online presence, and also why you think it's so important. I mean, it seems to be pretty obvious, but there are still some people who feel that a perfunctory social media account is just about okay, but it involves a lot more work, actually.
It's become extremely important in the last
Yeah.
decade, I would say. And in the last few months, it has become even more important. For the simple reason that people meet you before they meet you, whether it's your personal life or your professional life. And based on what they see
True.
on the screen, they form opinions of you. Whether they want to hire you, they want to retain you, they want to do business with you, or even if they want
This
to
is true.
interact with you. So your online presence by default has become an influencer skill. Secondly, of course, as leaders, it has become a bit of a fishbowl existence, as we've even seen in the last few months, that every post is up there and is a public post, and people can comment on it, and they can say things for and against it. So yes, you have to be open to that. But I think what is very important is that you should be able to curate your online presence. So what is it that you really want to present? Secondly, there have to be opaque walls between your personal life and your professional life, because many times you can you have a life and you have decided to lead it in a particular way, but everybody does not need to have access to that life. So your personal life, your friends, how you party, where you party, how much you party, only people who know you very well, your inner circle, needs to have access to that. Your professional presence is the way you have achieved success in the professional domain, and you have to be able to showcase that. So I think it's important to understand that. And of course, you can also use your presence for social listening. I think it's important that online today there's so much information on every topic, it, against it. So it's important to even follow some influencers across and with alternate thoughts, alternate views, and see what and understand for yourself and form an opinion for yourself. That's important.
We get this question a lot, Sheetal, in terms of how to show dissent, how to, manage a situation if there's conflict at work, if you don't agree with your boss, how to do it in a way that you're not losing power, but you're managing to sort of share your point of view or be assertive, but in a way that's that you actually get the point across. Most of the time people are worried that it'll backfire, that they'll be perceived as being difficult, that it'll stop them from getting that promotion, for example.
Yes, it's to do with culture as well, Abha, because Indian culture is very old, very deep, and we are extremely hierarchical culture. But in the last couple of decades, India has arrived on the world stage. Indian professionals are working for top-notch multinational companies. Indian companies have done so well and have got a global footprint. So we've got multiple chances to interact with the world. Now, when it comes to showing dissent, I think one, you have to find the right time, and you definitely need to give people some warning, or at least some, so they know where you're coming from. Secondly, please go back with a lot of data. Thirdly, please keep emotion out of it. Something which is very difficult, because culturally we are an extremely hypersensitive country, and we are very passionate about multiple issues. So keeping emotion out of all conversations, that whether it's providing feedback or showing dissent, is very important.
Sure. So these days, especially since we're working from home, there's email, there's WhatsApp. Yes, people can even find you on social media, which is less so in the sense within an office environment. It would more likely be on email or WhatsApp, whatever. But how do you create boundaries as a boss or an entrepreneur, you may want to actually be able to access your team at certain points of time when they may not find that it's that it's appropriate. But if you turn the tables, you for example, like if you're just an employee, you might want to have some clear boundaries. How do you sort of as a team set certain things in place?
It's a top-down approach. I think the
Mm.
bosses have to take that approach. But I do remember the same conversation 15 years ago when people would say that, the mobile made was the first technology device that made everybody accessible 24/7. So
Yeah.
they would always live in
Yeah.
the fear that our bosses can call us at any time, or sometimes our bosses call us at 10 p.m. on a Friday night or 9 a.m.
Yeah.
on a Saturday. But slowly some boundaries did get created by corporations and with bosses. Now, I think this also in the virtual world, this is something new, but I do think that it has to be a top down approach. And I do believe that
Sure.
people are burnt out. If you ask me honestly, last 7 months,
Agreed.
although we are saying people are working from home, but it's too much on
We
everybody's plate.
are. Yeah. No, agreed.
It's not easy.
Agreed.
See, first of all,
Yeah.
Indian homes are very cramped. Real estate cost is very high in India. So multiple
Yeah.
people are working from the same home. Also, we are multi-generational homes. So we have older people, staff, three
Yeah.
generations living
Yeah.
together. So it's not that we have defined spaces. So space is a problem. Infrastructure is a problem. Even in my
Mm.
personal case, I can tell you the bandwidth in my office was absolutely ideal for doing video conferencing and for doing my coaching programs or using technology. But at home, I didn't make that investment.
Mm.
Finally, I had to upgrade, a couple of
Yeah.
months ago. So we
Yeah.
don't make that investment. So I think it's important. And also, I think micromanaging is passé. The new world order will emerge where everybody will have to take ownership for their work. And
Sure.
slowly but surely, bosses have to let go, define the
Sure.
goals, give the deadlines, and then give people the flexibility and the freedom to deliver at their own time.
Sure.
And
Fair enough. Fair enough. So finally, Sheetal, I wanted to ask you about the importance of networking, like networking with a purpose, as essential to your growth. I also want to read out of, some of the tips you've given. You've said, because it's important, I feel, but, in the new age equality scenario that we're all living in. Who pays for a business meal? The person who does the inviting. So the host. Who holds the door open? The person who reaches the door first holds it open for the one following. And I want to ask the viewers, I mean, because women will usually expect that, it'll be held open for them. Who should carry the heavy bag? Any gender will offer the overloaded co-worker, which again I agree with. We do that at work as well with our technical teams. Who pulls the chair in a restaurant? Neither is expected, but you can expect an elderly or a physically disabled person. Who exits the elevator first? The person closest to the door. Is a man expected to give his seat to a woman in a bus or a train? Only if she is pregnant, unable to walk due to injury, or elderly. If the conference room has fewer chairs, who pulls in the extra chair? So the person closest to the door. And are women expected to escort male visitors to the office elevator? Yes. And as safety measure, as it ensures the visitor has exited the office premises. Interesting. I love this. That these are some of the reasons why one should read, because these are so valid, And I think it's important because I don't think many corporates actually define some of these things. I think it would be most helpful for people to understand where the lines are to be drawn. I think it's also important because today networking has become part and parcel of being at the helm of any growing business. And I want you to share a little bit more on that.
yes, what you read out were my thoughts on how businesses have become gender neutral, and there are no men and women in the workplace, only professionals. But networking, yes, is very important. I think it's a net worth of your
Yeah.
contacts, and interestingly, because of the fact that lots of people have moved online, there are multiple avenues for people to network even online. Of course,
Mm.
face to face continues to be important because After a point, every relationship has to transition to a face-to-face interaction. But having
Yeah.
said that, in the last few months, we have noticed that we've connected with a lot of people. Yes, online has made the world flat. Today, sitting in Mumbai, you can speak to anybody from San Francisco to Tokyo to Shanghai to anywhere in the world. So it's given you multiple opportunities to talk to people, have wonderful dialogues with people. Technology has been a big game changer when it comes to networking. Having said that, we still need to have good interactions with people. We need to have a strong core foundation of our network. This is something which a lot of people ignore. Nobody can have more than 50 close relationships that they are constantly in touch with. But many of us have a lot of people who have supported us in our career, in our professional journey.
Yeah.
We never went back to them. So I always tell people that first of all, start with your core team. Who were your supporters? Who were your pillars of strength? When did you last connect with them? Keep a regular connect with them, and also understand, customize your networking. If you meet somebody who prefers only a phone call, I know a lot of people who say once in 3 months, call me and chat with me and let's update me on your life. Some would like to go out for a meal, which in better times,
True.
of course, was possible. Some just want to have an update about your life on an email. Others, on the other hand, are very happy to connect with you in any way that is important to them. They are very open about it. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, send me a WhatsApp if it's needed," or just connect. Send me an article. Some are very knowledge driven. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, if you read something about my industry, send it to me." So you have to customize it, and that's when you can actually take the relationships to the next level. Also, networking is like banking. First, you make a deposit before you make a withdrawal. Everybody cannot withdraw on the same day because the bank will collapse. So, think about what you can do for your networks. They are humans
Cool.
in that network, they have aspirations, they have challenges. They also want to do things in their life. It could be doing something very different for them. Could be getting their kid an admission or a referral or writing their
Yeah,
essay
it's true.
or recommending a doctor. So, multiple ways that you can actually build relationships by helping people achieve their goals.
Amazing. So relevant. And I know this is true. I feel these are intangible things. I think that a lot of people don't fully recognize the value of it, or some that do are unable to. They perhaps sometimes think that they're unable to practice it in their own lives. Because I feel that, there are others that seem to naturally be more social or be more kind of, open to forming relationships, but it's important. And I think that it's something that everyone needs to work on regardless, especially if you are looking to get ahead. Sheetal, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you today. And from the comments coming in, I can clearly see that it's already been beneficial. And I hope that people will pick up a copy of the book. It's already selling fast, I hear, online. And I'm sure it will be incredibly useful for everyone. A lot of very, very handy tips, which is what I love about it. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Abha. Wonderful. The pleasure was mine. Thank you. Stay safe. Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Bye.